Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of our Chapter Chat Member Spotlight. My name is Bob Theisen. I'm with DISTek Integration in Cedar Falls, Iowa. I'm pleased and excited to introduce Michelle Jensen from Razor. Michelle is the CEO, President and CEO of Razor. Razor was awarded the 2024 Iowa, Nebraska Employee-Owned Chapter of the Year. We thought it'd be a great opportunity to chat with her about that award and about Razor as a company, and how their ESOP inspired them to be the success that they are. So, Michelle, welcome, and could you take just a few minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Razor? Excuse me.
Yep, absolutely. So, I'm Michelle Jensen, President and CEO at Razor. We have been employee owned we're actually celebrating 20 years this year. So that's been a lot of fun. We're doing a lot of 20th anniversary activities, which we can talk a little bit more about too. And I've been with the company, 18 years this fall. So started long time, but that long ago in our CarePro division as the manager of home medical, CarePro Home Medical, and have just kind of grown and it continued on that journey with the company. And Razor is a holding company. We do have 4 different companies within our portfolio.
Are all those companies related to each other in the healthcare industry?
They are not. We're kind of all over the board. We had previously been only in healthcare. So we have our CarePro division has home medical equipment, home infusion, and we have a little bit of home health. And then we also had a community pharmacy division. And in 2018, we decided we had an unsolicited offer to purchase that division. And so it made sense for us to sell. That was 5 locations. And at that time, that was a half of our revenue and a third of our employees. So big switch to our company. So we decided a couple other ESOPs had formed holding companies to diversify their portfolio. And so that's what we did. So we formed Razor Holdings in 2019, and we've done 3 acquisitions since. So I can talk a little bit about those. One of the first acquisition we did is in Baxter, Iowa. It's called KelTec, and they do upfitting for police, mostly law enforcement or police vehicles. So kind of take a car and put the lights, the siren, all the technology. So computer, body-worn cameras, dash cameras, gun holders, push bumpers. If it's a K9 unit, we make it, help put the cage in to make it a K9 unit. Sure. And so and we acquired them in 2019. And then we also acquired a company called Des Moines Winter Memorials, and it's in Des Moines and Winterset. And so we do memorials for grave sites. And so our facility in Winterset actually we get the granite cut to the mold, and then we do all the engraving in Winterset. And we have a sales office in Winterset, and we have one in Des Moines. And then our last acquisition is DISTek, and they're located in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and mostly have 2 products. One is a crosswind sensor for an M1 Abrams tank. And the other one is a meter that measures blow-by for combustion engines. So they're both related as far as airflow, measuring airflow, just 2 completely different markets that they participate in. And we're also on the lookout for additional acquisitions. So that's kind of been our path since 2018.
Not related industries, I would say, hit the nail on the head. Yeah, they are not related. That's an interesting portfolio, and we could probably have a whole podcast just on acquisition strategies and how that works and what have you. Yeah, how long have you been the CEO and president? Now, you said you were a manager of CarePro prior to being the CEO. So how long have you been the CEO?
So I became president and CEO of CarePro in 2015. And then when we formed Razor in 19, I became president and CEO of Razor Holdings. And then each of our businesses have either a director, a general manager, or a president, depending on their size and just the way they're set up. So I became, when we formed Razor Holdings, and I moved into that role. And I'm still pretty involved really in all of our companies, more so probably CarePro just because we're in the same building and that's where I grew up, was through CarePro. Sure. But we have a great team that does run that company. So I don't.
And with all of the other companies, you're 100% employee owned. Are all the employees eligible to be a part of your ESOP?
Yes, they
Oh,
are.
that's exciting.
It's really been, I think it's been an advantage when we have purchased companies. So the owners, most of them are looking to retire and looking for a great opportunity for their employees. And I think that employee ownership piece is huge, right? They're already feeling uh there's probably still they're struggling with selling because they've either grown the company, they've been so involved in the company. They're usually very concerned about their employees. And especially with our diversification, when we buy a company, we're not going to close I mean, for the most part, we're not going to close a location and combine them with one of our other businesses because they just like they're so diversified, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I think that employee ownership piece and those employees being able to enter that, they have to follow our normal guidelines to enter, but as soon as they meet those requirements, they are also same as any new employee starting at CarePro. So yeah, everybody's has the same opportunity.
Well, so that means we're going to segue then into integrating cultures and the employee ownership mindset culture. The, Razor being the employee-owned company of the year, the nomination that was provided listed a whole bunch of activities, events, engagement that folks at Razor have been involved in. So please talk to me about some of the highlights of how you communicate employee ownership to your to all of your employees.
Mm-hmm. It's really been we've learned a lot as everybody does, but I think we initially, especially as we started doing acquisitions, we were probably naive about, oh, this will be really easy. Why wouldn't everybody be super excited about it? But what we really found out, everything just doesn't always work every place and with the same employees, right? So we've really, I think, had to kind of just rethink how we communicate and how we work to engage with employees, because something that really lands at one location and they're excited about, we have another company who could care less, right? Like, it's just not their thing. So we've really, and there are things that are obviously universal, but as far as probably more like location activities, we've really tried to say, okay, if you want to have a banks tournament, we'll be there, we'll come, we'll support it. But you guys have to kind of help initiate that, because we found when we tried to plan things that we thought were cool, they didn't land, right? And we'd be the only ones there. And it's like, well, okay, that didn't work. So as we've kind of learned to really and some locations don't do a lot of that. And that's okay too. And other locations love having tournaments or going bowling or, whatever it is. So that was something that I think was hard for us, because we wanted to make sure we were treating everybody the same and everybody was equal, and everybody's receiving the same, all the same options. But we learned that it kind of doesn't work that way. We do have our employee owner event in June, so that's all employee owners are welcome to that. That's in Coralville. We celebrate anniversaries, 5, 10, 15-year anniversaries. We celebrate vesting. So anybody who's vested gets a black Razor vest at that event. We have Employee Owner of the Year, we have Rockstar, we have now the Razor Rockstar Award, and then we also reveal our share price. So, and it's fun because we do have people from all companies come. So it's really fun for them to kind of interact. We usually do an icebreaker, kind of helps them meet other people that they might not meet. We do one thing that's been super popular. We do walk-up songs. So if you're going to be on stage for anniversary, you get to pick a walk-up song, and it's amazing the amount of time and energy people put into picking their walk-up song. But they kind of, depending on their energy level, I guess, they'll dance, and other people will get up and dance. And so it's just, we really try to make it a really fun, casual get together and celebration of employee ownership. So it's it's in June. It really is a lot of fun.
Maybe a little naive on my part. I've always made the assumption that if one company acquires another, that you would immediately try to marry those cultures and make them, if you will, the same. Make the acquired take on the culture of your own. But my guess is you have shared values, and try to distribute that across the board. And of course, the benefit of being employee owned, there's a cultural aspect to that. So presumably shared values and the culture of ownership is pretty much kind of a requirement. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, and I think one thing that's really different from the companies that were privately owned, owners didn't share financials, which makes total sense, right? I mean, they were privately owned.
Sure.
We were very open book. We share all financials. We share all financials of every company with every company. So every month we do what's called the buzz. We use Beekeeper as the medium that we use to communicate all information. It's a program. And we do a buzz record, which I do, and I share all the financials from the previous month, and we talk about every company, where they're at to budget, challenges they're having, wins they're having. We just want people to kind of understand what the other companies are doing, but also the challenges, because it does impact the entire company. Our share price is figured on the company as a whole, even though each individual company does get valued, but it is really the whole entire company. So when we've had challenges in 2020 and all the things, I mean, it does impact everybody. So everyone needs to understand what's going on in the company. So it's just depending, I guess, CarePro, because it's our legacy company, and we've just done it a lot, 20 plus years, 20 years with them as far as being an ESOP, where these new acquired companies, they're brand new to it. So it's really not much different than, probably having new employees coming to CarePro. There's education, but if they're coming into CarePro, they're kind of coming into an established situation where, when they're new acquisitions, you have to assess what the current culture is, and then figure out how do we really grow and take them on that journey for employee ownership. And some people are like all in, ready to go. We have committees, and we try to get someone from each location or each company. It's our safety committee or employee advisory committee. We have a Make It Okay committee. So we really try to get folks from all locations to participate on those committees. And so I think that's also beneficial to start getting them a little more excited and to kind of understand, an ESOP is different. We share lots of information they probably have never heard before.
Well, that's exciting. So, do you have any advice for employees of other ESOP companies as they travel on this journey? Not necessarily from an acquisition perspective, but from in terms of spreading the concept or the culture of employee ownership.
Yeah, we really try to talk about just getting engaged, right? And I think it's hard because it is complicated. The financials can be complicated. The whole ESOP, the way valuation works is complicated, and a lot of people don't want to ask questions. And I don't blame them, right? So if you're in a room and you feel like you don't know, you don't understand, or you don't know what's going on, it's hard to ask questions. And so we really try to focus and sit down, or be available to sit down with employees one-on-one to go through their statement. So after they get their statement, we get it. It's confusing. We're happy to go through it with you. And really just like, we don't expect them to be experts, but let's talk about what matters, right? Let's talk about, where are you at? It's how far are you away from retirement? Are you vested yet? I think you guys see, and we really see, if we can get someone here 3, 4, 5 years, they usually stay. It's that first couple of years that it's really hard to, you're not vested yet. Your balance probably isn't very large, or you don't see the growth. You don't have access to the money, right? It's yours, but it's not yours. So I think that's hard. So we really try to kind of talk about wealth building. Like, this really is for the future, for you to have. And so, really, we just try to tell employees there's no dumb questions. We're all learning this as we go. I'll still learn something new all the time, right? Everyone does, about ESOPs. And so trying to just get them engaged, and really talk a lot about meeting them where they're at. So, whether it's video, whether it's audio, really, like I said, that Beekeeper is an app we use. We really kind of say it's where you need to be. We started a new program this year called Be Engaged. And so we're actually doing, it's a quarterly. It started in Q2. And so during the buzz, there's something we talk about, and then we do a question about it. If people answer it correctly, they can get $20 that month for answering it correctly. It's not something we plan to do ongoing, but we're trying to get people who maybe aren't engaged by monetary incentive, which you hope you don't have to do, but
Right.
we're hoping if it gets them to see, okay, this isn't that hard to do this isn't that difficult. I don't have to be on all the time. that we can create a behavior and just really open some people up to being more involved and engaged and hopefully continue that habit going forward, right? Like form that habit
Yeah.
and then it continues into next year. So um, I guess we have about 144 employees, so we're not huge, but we do try to spend a lot of time individually with individuals to just make it comfortable for them to ask questions.
Well, that's exciting. In fact, that it make me want to get to know more about Razor as a company. But let me ask you this: as we're winding down this episode, what excites you personally about well, being an employee owner and working at an employee-owned company? I mean, I hear things that you talk about the culture. You obviously show some vulnerability, transparency within the organization. But what about you personally? Would you ever consider working for a non-ESOP company now that you had the experience of being the CEO of Razor?
I hope I don't. I mean, I plan to stay here for a while, so that's my goal. Um, it, okay, it's hard. I think there's a lot of companies that have great cultures, and I don't think you have to be ESOP, right, to have a really good culture. I mean, we see
Agreed.
that every day. So I really think the difference is the opportunity. We've had employees who maybe retired a year earlier because of their ESOP balance. So I think it's that opportunity to just help people um, just kind of realize their future goals, which is really hard depending on their age to the importance of that. And I guess for me, when I started, I'll be honest, I mean, 20 years, I've been here, 18 years. I'm like, it's smoke and mirrors, right? Like, I'm kind of like, I don't really understand it. I don't have a balance yet. I'm kind of like, this won't be much. Well, 18 years later, it makes a difference. And it makes a difference for a lot of our employees who've been here for a period of time. So, yes, I think the financial piece, I mean, let's be honest, it's important to people. It's important to me. But I really like I hate to say ownership because that's where ownership, but the feeling that and that a lot of employees feel, whether it's, hey, let's find a way to do things better, cheaper, more efficiently. I'm going to turn the lights off. I'm going to pick up garbage. Just hopefully it is that sense of like, I'm going to try and take care of this because it's taking care of me.
Yeah, we like that at DISTek. We like to call that ownership pride. I try to get particularly new people and young people to remember that when they first bought their first car.
Hmm.
I just told the story last week about how I would bring it into the yard once a week and wash it by hand. I haven't washed a car by hand in 20 years, but I did then,
Right.
because I had pride for it.
Mhm.
Mom and Dad's car, the family truckster, no, I didn't wash that, right? So
No.
that sense of ownership, pride, and we hope that gets instilled with all of our employees. And it sounds like you're doing a fantastic job at Razor of making that happen there too. Well, thank you very, very much. I appreciate your time, Michelle. And congratulations again on winning the 2024 Iowa Nebraska Employee Owned Company of the Year award. I know that Emily Birds and Angie Hoover are actively involved with the ESOP Association. I work with Emily uh, and Angie on the exec council, and they are a great asset to that team, and I could see why they would be a great asset to Razor as well.
Yeah,
Thank you very
huge.
much, and I'm excited to see you. Well, it'll be next week down at the Women Lead Change Conference in
Yeah.
in Cedar Rapids. So look forward to seeing you there. And again, thank you very much, and everybody else, have a great day.
Great. Thank you.